Hey friends, so today I'm doing a bit of a call out post for the LGBTQ community on YouTube. So this should be fun. It always makes me really uncomfortable to have to criticize other people's behaviors or words or things they're doing on social media because we're all in the YouTube community and it makes me really uncomfortable to have to call that kind of stuff out. I have social anxiety, I don't like confrontation, and I don't love the idea of having to go to YouTube events where I run into people who I've had to criticize on the internet. But at the same time, these people have large platforms and a lot of them have younger audiences that I think could be harmed by some of the things that they've said and promoted on their channels. So I do think it's important to call people in and call out the behavior when it happens. Which is interesting because I feel like the last couple months I've had to do that so many times. I'm just gonna take one for the team. So if you're not aware, there have been a lot of heated discussions on YouTube specifically, but also all across the internet about genital preferences. It's been kind of a hot button issue. I'm gonna link to some articles and videos about it below if you want to catch up on the conversation, because there is some context here that I think is important. My friend Arielle Scarcella made a video about it, which I personally thought was really good. I think she was very careful with her language. I understood what she was trying to say. I didn't misrepresent her words. I listened to what she was saying and I was like, okay, that makes sense to me. But not everyone gave her the same benefit of the doubt, and I've seen this happen several times with trans women on the internet where they'll be very careful with their language. They will be specific. They'll say, I'm not trying to force anyone to sleep with anyone. You don't have to be attracted to every trans person. You don't have to sleep with anyone that you don't want to sleep with. But sometimes it's good to look at societal bias and how that might affect our preferences. It's never a clean cut, like, you have to do this, you need to fuck this trans person, but hey, let's examine our biases and start a conversation. You know, it's very open-ended and non-coercive. They'll leave room for nuance and they'll acknowledge the fact that some people are repulsed by certain genitals because of trauma, and that's okay. It's basically just saying that self-reflection isn't a bad thing, and it's always good to reflect on your preferences. You might end up coming to the same conclusion, but I never think that self-reflection is gonna hurt you. If you're an adult and you have sexual experiences and you're not asexual, then I'm pretty sure that your sexuality now is gonna be pretty different from when you were 12 or 13 and you were first exploring that. People's sexualities evolve and grow and change throughout their life, and in my opinion, it's kind of a lifelong process. I'm not attracted to the same types of people that I was attracted to when I was 13. Because that would be weird. My romantic and sexual attractions are different now than they were when I was younger, and I think that's a positive thing, because I would still be in love with Edward Cullen from Twilight, and nobody wants that. Unfortunately, I've seen a trend when it comes to trans people speaking on this issue in a very careful way. Cisgender people will come in and twist their argument and misrepresent their words and try and portray them as like predatory and rapey, as if they're trying to prey on cis people and force them to sleep with them. And it's not great. I also want to point out that the predatory narrative has historically been placed on lesbians as well. So when cis lesbians twist this narrative and try and pass it off on trans people, I think it's irresponsible because it's ignoring the context and how it has been harmful to their own community. And I really think that people in these conversations, particularly if you're a member of the LGBTQ community and you're supposed to stand with trans people, I really think that we should question these arguments. And I've seen this play out in a very specific way in my own YouTube and LGBTQ communities, where cisgender lesbians and queer women are perpetuating this narrative and misrepresenting trans women's arguments and trying to make them into the bad guy, when all they wanted in the first place was to start an open-ended conversation. I'm making this video specifically because the other day an LGBTQ advocate, a popular YouTuber, made a sort of attack video on one of my friends. Particularly, they've had a history of having an issue with trans vloggers in our community, and I don't want to say that this is a coincidence, but I can't say that it's not a coincidence. This YouTuber is Arielle Scarcella, who has been criticized in the past for making a pretty shitty video towards bisexuals where lesbians talk about how untrustworthy they find bi people and how they would never want to date them and things like that.
If you had to describe bisexual girls in one word, what would it be?
Greedy.
To be honest with you, confused.
Rare. I don't think there's anything in between. I think it's either everybody or it's like a rare unicorn kind of thing.
Lesbians don't date bisexuals because lesbians are probably smarter in a sense that We know what we want, we go after it. That's why we're gay.
And I was getting a lot of bisexual people in my mentions telling me that that video specifically prevented them from coming out of the closet because they were bi and they didn't want to enter a community that hated them or made them feel like they're not valid. So I do think it's dangerous when people who are supposed to be advocating for members of our community are being exclusionary. I don't think that trying to isolate members of the LGBT community is a good way to go, and I'm very wary of this type of behavior. Essentially, in Arielle's 16-minute video response, she's reacting to a video by Riley's girlfriend, Fiona, who I also happen to be friends with, and she picks and chooses parts of Fiona's argument and kind of just misrepresents the whole thing. I didn't know this at the time of recording, but apparently in direct response to Arielle and her friend Jacqueline making an attack video on her, Fiona was forced to delete all of her videos on her channel. So it's not just an issue of sexual preferences, it's also an issue of two significantly larger channels bullying and ganging up on a much smaller channel to the point that she does not feel comfortable in her own community and she feels like she needs to private all of her videos. This is not the first video that Arielle has made about genital preferences, and to be quite honest, if Arielle doesn't want to sleep with trans women, I'm sure trans women aren't losing any fucking sleep over it, to be honest. I'm sure trans women aren't like, oh damn, Arielle won't fuck me, god damn it. You don't have to sleep with or date anyone you don't want to. However, I do think it's pretty shitty when people repeatedly make video after video talking about how unattractive and unfuckable they find trans women, and they make a huge fucking deal out of it. Like, why do you need to tell people how much you don't want to sleep with them? I just don't understand why this is the hill you've chosen to die on. I don't understand why you've made this your big issue. I tweeted about this yesterday, but there have been lots of people that I haven't been attracted to and I haven't wanted to sleep with. But guess what? I didn't make entire videos or posts about how unattractive I found them. I politely declined and moved on. It becomes questionable to me when you are so determined to constantly remind trans women that you're not attracted to them and that cis lesbians don't want to fuck a penis, as Arielle said in her video. Like, I didn't want to fuck Brad for my political communications class, but I didn't feel the need to make multiple videos and posts online about it. You're allowed to have preferences, you're allowed to choose who you do and you don't want to date, but at the end of the day, if you continue to be intent on reminding people how unattractive you find them, you're kind of just being rude. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this one. Also, this is completely voluntary, but if you would like to help support this channel, then please consider donating to my Patreon page, which will be linked below.